Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a very impromptu late night stream. Not whatever. I'm not half asleep, I swear. Welcome. We're live on YouTube right now. I'm your host, Mac, of course, Black Film All-Star, as you know. I'm very excited to do this special kind of impromptu live stream. Last time we were live was July 4th, which, if I'm not mistaken, I think that live stream went over for like 4 hours. We did like a bunch of tier listing. A lot of fun. It was really, really fun. I'm going to be joined here by my two friends, Rod from Infinity Film Podcast and Don from Talking TV. They'll be here in a bit, but I just want to get started and everything. So tonight is a different live stream. There's going to be no tier listing because this is such a last minute, fuck it, let's do it live stream that I just said, you know what? We're going to just do, it's Deadpool Wolverine's out. I have not seen it because it's all sold out. Can't even get a ticket, so that's fun. So I decided, hey, let's get us great X-Men people fan film alike, and we'll go over and we'll talk about each of the X-Men movies from 2000 all the way to the last one before Deadpool Wolverine, which was, God, I don't even remember what the last X-Men movie was before Deadpool Wolverine. I think it was like Logan. Oh, I'm sorry. It was something that came out in 2020, which we shall not discuss. It shall not be named. But I hope everyone's doing good. How was your month? Because we are pretty much, we're done with summer pretty much. We got a few more months left to go. And yeah, it's crazy to think that we're already in like July and we're like 4 more months away. Or not even that. We're 4 more months away from, or 5. We're 5 months away from Christmas, which is nuts to me. And we are 3 months away from Halloween. I have to start getting my list together for the 31 horror movies I got to cover, and do so and forth. But I saw Quiet Place Day 1. I guess there's some updates so you can do before we get started. First update is that I got a new episode of the podcast coming out. It's going to be a review of our 1996 Twisters movie with Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt in time for it was kind of late, in time for the new Twisters movie with Glenn Powell and Daisy Edgar Jones and all of them. That should be out by tonight or tomorrow. I got a review of Quiet Place Day 1 that's going to be dropping this weekend as well too. And then next week we're going to be back with Flashback Friday. I got a little special film that I am excited to go over. Upcoming reviews too. You're gonna have Twisters sometime next week, then Deadpool and Wolverine, of course, and then my goal is to try to do a review of the new M. Night Shyamalan movie Trap next week, which I'm excited for. I'm scared that they may have spoiled the trailer. They spoiled it before, and I'm just like, oh god, I just hope that the trailer didn't spoil anything. Because that movie actually looks kind of interesting, I think that Trap is. Let me see real quick. Let's bring up Trap. Trap 2024 film. Here we go. I think this movie looks kind of interesting. It looks kind of good. Not gonna lie. I think that this movie has potential to be good. I just hope that, because if you don't know the premise of this dad takes his daughter to a concert, fun fact, the person that's doing the concert in the movie, that's actually, I believe, M. Night Shyamalan's other daughter, I believe. She's actually a singer, which is pretty cool. He takes her to a concert, but it turns out it's a big trap from the concert because they're trying to catch the serial killer, and shocking, he's the serial killer, or that we know of. But I don't know if he's the serial killer. I have a theory, since it's M. Night Shyamalan, it's not going to be straightforward because I'm thinking he won't give away that twist in the trailer. He won't. I think he's hallucinating and he's just saying like, oh yeah, he's not really the killer or something. I don't know. It just doesn't seem right to give away the twist in that trailer, to just give it away. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But I'm excited for it. I'm excited for that. And also, next month, too, I definitely want to go over this film. Oh, boy. I can't wait for The Crow. Said nobody ever. Oh, my gosh. The Crow, man. I don't know. This movie, I mean, it could be like the surprise hit of the year. I don't know, man. I really don't know. I have no confidence with The Crow being a good movie because that trailer was just, oh my god, that trailer was just bad. That was not a good trailer. Hold up, this is lagging like crazy. Let me fix this. Can I close this out? Nope. Okay. Oh, I still got to see Inside Out too, so that's another thing I have to catch up on. Oh yeah, Borderlands. Next month is really going to turn into like a big movie month, I swear. But anyway, that is that. Still waiting for my co-host to join. So yeah, just making sure we got the word out and everything like that. Just trying to think of what else to talk about. Oh yeah, I guess the big news I can kind of cover. The SAG after strike for video games, it went into effect at midnight today. It's now on strike. Let me bring this up. That this is crazy because we had just gotten out of the video game and the movie and writer strike, and now we're on to the video game performer strike. So a lot of voice actors I follow, like Rada Lyle, our friend Brendan Bradley, who we had on the show a while back ago. A few other voice actors, Ashley Birch is another one. They posted on Instagram they're not going to be voicing any video game characters. They're not going to be doing anything until they get better treatment for voice acting, pretty much. So, yep, video game performers will go on strike until artificial intelligence is concerned. Because, listen, the whole thing with the AI kind of doing that, I think I can understand where I see both sides of the coin, but I do understand with the performers strike because the performers they've been working into their roles and they just say like, well, we're just gonna do an AI performance of it, and it's just like there's no point then because you're not. It's the same thing when it comes to like using AI to resurrect dead people in a film. You get it, but it's just like, come on. So you may wonder, like, how does this affect everything? Blah blah blah. Well, GTA 5 and a lot of other development stuff could get affected by this because video game performers can't, GTA they can't perform. They're not going to perform part of the strike. They're not going to cross that picket line. Those are Stephen Amell, and if you can't work, stuff's going to get delayed. It's just straight up like that. So we'll see how this goes down, and who knows how long this will last. Will this last just as long as the video game? Oh my gosh. Yep. I don't know. So it began at 12:01 a.m. today, or technically last night. Today, yeah. But no, it's just crazy stuff right now, man. I don't know. We'll see. If this lasts as long as the writer's strike, then that's gonna be crazy. But we'll see what games get affected. I'm pretty sure maybe the new definitely GTA will be affected, and probably some other games too. But we are joined here by my first host, Rod Cinema Gallery. What's up, man? We're talking about video game strikes. How you doing, man?
Oh, Mac, I have to tell you a story, my friend.
What's up?
I was like half asleep, and I was like, "Oh my god, I have like 10 minutes before Mac goes live. Let me pick my ass up."
Oh no. Listen, I apologize, man, because this is such a late night, like late rendezvous idea, and I was just like, "Fuck it." I talked to Dom, and I was like, "Yo, Dom, I can't do Deadpool," and then we kind of were like, "Yo, are you free tomorrow? Or are you free tonight? All right, screw it. Let's talk about all the X-Men movies because fuck a sleep schedule." Just fuck it.
Fuck the sleep schedule. I'll get my sleep
Yes.
eventually. So I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm awake.
Yeah.
Part of this
You're
is
half
my own.
asleep.
Part of this was my own doing that because I saw Deadpool twice last night at
How was it?
8:30 and midnight. I loved it. I really did. I saw it. I just got back from another screening like 3 hours ago with my sister.
Is the MCU back?
Okay. All right. So, Mac, I mean, you have to realize who you're talking to here, but I'll say this. As someone who will always defend the MCU, if you're one of these people who thinks the MCU is dead and this wasn't going to be the movie to kind of bring it back, I think this will be the movie. I think it's just a step in the right direction for those people.
Mm-hmm.
I've never thought the MCU was dead in the first place, Mac. I thought, they've kind of been on a little bit of like on a lull, like some divisive stuff here and there. This is a hard film for me to grade, though, Mac. Just being honest.
I've heard that because people is like once you get the cameos out the way, there's like it's kind of I haven't seen it yet. It's kind of like hard to grade it because it's like how do you grade it as a movie? Because we already knew it's gonna be cameos and inside jokes and everything like that. But what is there besides that with this movie?
There is an emotional core to this movie. I say it's hard because there is just so much in this movie. Like even today, Mac, right? I'm going and I'm just having a great time. Just the experience with it is just so overwhelming that I have to like my critic hat. If I'm sitting here, my critic hat is right at my car. And that's why I say it's hard to grade because I don't know how to grade this film because as a Marvel fan, I was treated with so much. So if you're a Marvel fan, you're a comic book fan, you're gonna be eating good with this movie.
Yeah, I've heard it's a very celebration of everything that was pre MCU, all the movies that kind of came before it.
If you've been sticking around Marvel since like the early on 2000s, you are gonna be very very happy with this movie.
Man, it was weird when Jonathan Majors had a cameo. Don't you think so?
I thought I could have swore I saw him somewhere.
Just imagine. And I have a theory. I think Taylor Swift is in the movie.
Okay.
I just know because they're like, well, she's not in there. It's like, why would you say something where she's not in there? You don't want to spoil it. So it's like I kind of had a feeling she might be in the movie. I'm thinking it's like an Amsterdam cameo where she gets killed off immediately. She got ran off the fuck over in Amsterdam. I was like, damn, who'd you piss off?
They realized that when she got killed in Amsterdam, I was like, man, that was just a that's just budgeting reasons. I was like, you know
They're
what,
like
we don't have the budget to keep you around, so here you go.
that was like the whole movie. So, dude, I gotta ask you too. How have you been enjoying college football 25?
So here's another problem I have, Mac. Okay, between Deadpool Wolverine and College Football 25, I have been getting zero to little to no sleep, Mac. College Football 25
I
is incredible, and I
love it.
think as a college football fan, it's just my anticipation for the game was already at a all time high,
Mhm.
and then when I finally got to play it a couple days early because I bought that MVP or the deluxe edition
Yeah,
for $100. Um, I was even more excited. So it's a great game. I love it. It's not perfect. There are some there are some bugs.
oh my god, yeah. The fact that you can't defense just needs shit in that game.
Yeah, defense means nothing. Ohio State is OP.
Penn State's
Uh,
OP.
Ohio State, they OP the hell out of Ohio State, man. They have a run. They're starting running back. I remember I was playing them. I couldn't tackle the guy. Like he would just slip away from all my tackles. And I'm like, what the hell?
Did
Um,
you would you commit to in your road to glory?
so I'm doing Dynasty, straight up Dynasty right now,
Hmm.
Mac. So I'm a Gator fan, so I'm just doing a Dynasty right now as Florida. So uh, first year done, or no, we have one game left to go. That's Florida State, and then unfortunately it didn't make the SEC championship game like I wanted to. But
You playing on Heisman?
we'll make a good bowl game this year, and we'll get ready for next year. But I do like dynasty recruiting.
It
I
is
think
good.
it's really really good. I think the commentary is good. I think some of the in-game atmosphere stuff is good.
Hmm.
But especially when you play the game a lot, the commentary starts to get like, okay, all right,
Repetitive, yeah.
yeah. I'm like, okay, all right, it's the same old, same old. And I remember I was blowing some team out, and it was the halftime show, and I forget the guy, Mac, who does the halftime show for the
Hmm.
game. It was like, man, both these offenses are struggling. I'm like, I put up 45 in the first half. What is both? Because it was like
Man, they should have
45
dropped
to
200
3.
points. Fucking slacking.
No, well, if
So,
that happened, man, both
are you?
defenses are struggling.
So I played Penn State, which I think Penn State's the hardest stadium, and I'd said, "Screw it, I'm playing an extra game on Heisman. Never doing that again in my life." That was like I
No,
woke up in the cold, godly, and I did Road to Glory. I'm a junior in Kennesaw State. Led them to two national championship games, and I remember we got ranked in my sophomore year, and we wanted to prove ourselves by playing Ohio State. And I was like, all right, bet we're gonna do this. And then I threw a pick at the end of the game, and I lost it. I was gonna do like a John Elway drive, and like, damn. But then I didn't know Team Builder was online because I wanted to make Blue Mountain State as my dynasty, and
I
people
was just talking about the buddy of mine, like, man, wouldn't it be cool to use Blue Mountain State in college football? That'd be awesome.
people have made the team. You can download it on the Team Builder.
Well, Mac, you just ruined my Saturday now. So thank you for that.
No, but I chose the Rice Owls to rebuild because who goes to Rice to play football?
People who can't go to Alabama.
No, that's people who are smart enough and they just need to fill out their football roster.
Where's Rice? Rice is in Texas, right?
Yeah, I thought Rice was in like New York or some shit. I didn't know it was fucking Texas.
Yeah, Rice is I knew it was like Texas or Oklahoma or something like that.
What would you say is like the one disappointing aspect of college football 25 for you? Is it the fact that you may have to buy Madden 25 to continue some of your players' careers?
No, 'cause like I'm a football guy, Mac. So I'm gonna buy Madden 25 anyway.
Mhm.
But I don't really have a lot of things that are disappointing. Not yet. like I said, there's some bug issues, and I think with some of the teams like the Georgias and the Ohio States being a little too overpowered, but I don't really have, like I said, it's not a perfect game, but I don't have like a lot of nagging issues right now. That's because I've
Mhm.
only been playing on Dynasty, so I can't
Oh
really.
yeah, I really. Oh shit! What the fucking moth? The fuck? Get the fuck away from me!
Well, this is entertaining. Get the raid,
uh,
Mac. Get the
uh,
raid.
I think the one thing I wish they had was the mascot mode.
Do they have mascot mode on here?
Nope, they said that they took it out.
That's interesting.
I don't know why mascot mode was like one of the best features because it's like you could just play with these random ass.
You
Like
know
I
what?
used to like the
They'll probably
Syracuse.
probably bring it back. They'll probably bring it back either on an update patch or for next year's game. They'll probably bring it back.
That's the crazy thing too. It's like I'm playing Road to Glory, and I'm like, yeah, my guy's doing good, and it hits me. I'm like, shit. After this 4 years, I'm done. And like, do I buy Madam 25 to export him to take? I'm like, but I don't want to get mad at. That's the problem. And they're like, hey, we got a new boom tech in Madden 25. You're gonna like it. We swear. We promise you. And I'm like, you know what's funny is that they don't even have to release another college football game next year. They can actually just keep updating this if they really wanted to. But they'll
If they
probably
really
do it.
wanted to, yeah.
But they'll probably release like college football 26.
I think they will, just to keep it fresh. Um, wouldn't it be nice, Mac, to be like a game developer for like Madden or something like that, or working for the Madden game? You don't have to do much. You don't have to do much at all.
Listen,
It's the same game every year.
I there was a time where Madden like actually had respect to it, and that's when they had competition. And I know why they were probably scared to make it. Well, besides the whole legal stuff with the college football, I think the problem is that they realized that the college football game would be popular more than Madden because I can tell you no one's going to get Madden. Only the diehards are going to get Madden, and maybe some people when it's cheap. But like no one's like, man, I got to go pick up the Madden. Like no one like Madden's dead. No one has like I have not liked Madden since like Madden 12.
Madden's been dead for a while. Um, I kind of enjoyed the one with I forgot the year it was with Brady and Mahomes on the cover.
Oh, 22.
Yeah, I thought that one was okay. Um, I fell in love with Madden because it's just rinse and repeat every year. And I don't know when it started for me,
Mm-hmm.
but I see games like what 2K does every year.
Oh my god, that's even worse.
And I've actually started playing a lot more MLB The Show.
Dude,
Um,
that's like the one sports game that's actually consistently good.
it is, and that's actually that's the game that I do my quote unquote road to glory. Um,
Did you play this year's?
no, I haven't played this yet.
Okay, I know because this year everyone's freaking out. It's like you can play as a female in baseball. What? And so I'm a female like first base player, and she's like won like multiple MVPs and all star. But I love MLB The Show. I remember when 2K had the rights to it. They were doing the
Hmm.
2K baseball, and like people like 2K11 was like the last. No, 2K12 was the last one, and it was like really good. And then MLB The Show was. I loved the show so much. It's like I used to play Madden, kind of dropped off from that. 2K kind of dropped off from that. But then the show I used to play NHL games, don't really play that anymore. And then I never really liked FIFA.
Did you like There used to be this game I played all the time as a kid. Remember Backyard Baseball?
Yes,
Oh my god, dude, I love that game.
I
I
played the
was just-
original.
What's that?
The I played the original like computer game.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, that's the one.
That the OG. That game was fun. They should
And you
bring
gotta
that
talk
back.
about if we're talking about backyard baseball, we gotta pay respect to the GOAT right here. We gotta pay respect to Pablo, the greatest fictional baseball player of all
This
time.
kid,
This
talk about
was
OP.
was a god.
Better than Barry Bonds, better than Sammy. So I mean, this kid right here was This kid's a legend.
He is. If you don't know who Pablo is from Backyard Baseball, then you didn't grow up back in the day. Like straight
Amen,
up.
Mac.
Like oh my god, that kid. No, that's a memory right there. I really would. They should like do a remake of that. I would buy that in a heartbeat, or like a new version, just the original one. I played. But I can tell
Honestly,
you
Mac,
like
it wouldn't make
what?
any money. It wouldn't make any money.
No, that's the sad part. Oh my
No one
god,
would care. No one would care about this game.
like I can tell you when Madden fell off. This is the Madden game that everyone I know does not like. There you go.
Yeah, it was around this time.
That was like this. This one was like everyone's like, yeah. I don't think this is the worst Madden. I still think the worst Madden was last year's Madden. So yeah, I just I hate it. Like
Yeah, it was
this the
around this time.
Madden. It was, and then I think the only Madden 20 I had like 532 hours in it for 4 years.
Sports games in general, though, Mac, aren't typically. It's a lot of the same old, right?
Yeah, that's true.
I
That's
can never
true.
really get hyped for sports games anymore. So, not like when I was in like middle school, high school, I was always getting hyped because they were consistently getting better. And then I don't know around that, like you said, around this time, like 18, 19,
Mhm.
they all start falling off. So
Yeah, and I can tell you when the 2K series start to fall apart because I have a fucking infamous history with this shit. NBA 2K18 is the worst 2K game of all time. Just saying. But
I can give you on that.
yeah.
I
But
can.
anyway, as we're still waiting for Dom to come, I think we're gonna get started a little bit of preliminaries. So, Rod, I brought you on here tonight, and Dom when he gets here.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna talk about. We mentioned it before. You watched Deadpool Wolverine. You loved it,
Mm-hmm.
but don't forget, this is the first X-Men movie we've gotten in theaters in 4 years,
Yep, that's right.
and the X-Men franchise has spanned across 24 years since 2000. It was one of the first Marvel movies in the late 90s, early 2000s that actually really peaked with it. What is your experience with the X-Men movies?
Well, if you want my full thoughts, Ben and I did a not spoiler. I'm sorry, a full-on X-Men retrospective, which is like almost a 4-hour episode, Mac,
Oh my god!
because we went through all the movies with myself, Ben, Zach, and Jacob. It was around 4 hours long. Um, I call the X Men franchise, Mac, wasted potential.
You think so?
I think there was so much they did right, but there was so much they did wrong. Um, but I mean, so much they did right. I think for the most part, the casting they nailed
Mm.
for a lot of these roles. Not all the time, Oscar Isaac, but I thought for the
Lenny.
most part they nailed their casting. Hugh Jackman. Uh, some of the themes Mac explored here, like they took some inspiration from the comics and the X Men animated series,
Mhm.
and while some of the movies they didn't fully delve into it, at least they were trying to do something different, right? Trying to be a little bit more. I don't want to say grown up, Mac, but at least a little bit more mature, more of a mature comic movie, while still
Mhm.
having of the ridiculous costumes and all that, right?
Yeah.
Um, I appreciate that they made movies like Logan, that they
Mhm.
went for the R-rated comic book movie, Mac, and it's for a lot of people, it's a top 10 comic movie. For me, it's not anymore, at least. But I think it's still one of the best written and best acted superhero movies we've ever had.
Mhm.
Uh, and then we have X Men Dark Phoenix. So, or X Men
The
The Last
worst.
Stand, which
You
don't get me,
know,
don't get me
I'll get
started
to
on that
that
film.
later. I think Last Stand gets overly hated because I see Last.
Oh my God.
I
Okay.
think I see Last Stand as like the Spider-Man 3. Actually, never mind. That's a bad character. Never mind. Forget that. Forget that
Okay.
comparison. Wait a minute. Hold up. Wait, I just thought I heard that out loud. I was like, wait a minute. No. I just think it gets hated on. There's elements of that movie I like because my favorite part of it was then Ellen Page as Kitty Pryde. And he's like, don't you? She was running to the facility. Juggernaut's like, don't you know who I am? I'm the juggernaut, bitch.
It's, there's
Oh
so
my
much I hate about the movie. Just with the death of Charles, uh, I, I didn't really feel a lot from that scene. That like I was more frustrated than like emotionally devastated. Why are we killing Charles? Why?
because
The
Patrick Stewart's too expensive.
Seriously, I feel like Deadpool just came in and said, sorry, we gotta get you out of here."
Yeah.
Uh, the whole final battle was just a
I thought that was
mess.
the best part of that movie.
It just felt like a bunch of visual noise and
Did you
some
not like when
fancy, some
did you
fancy
not
Jean Grey stuff at the very end. And oh,
listen
let's make sure we get to see Hugh Jackman's abs one more time. It's just oh,
what's her name who played Jean Grey in the original movie?
Famke Janssen.
I always had a crush on her. I don't
Oh,
know why. You know,
she's
I have a thing for redheads.
all right. So now we're gonna delve into Max things redheads this episode.
It's like the thing too with the X-Men movies. So would you say, as we rank them, because Don's gonna join us in a few seconds, he's just using what's the laboratory. Would you say there's more good X-Men movies or more bad, or is it something in the middle?
I think it's oh well, damn. I think it's in the middle. I think it's about
You
half and
say in
half.
the middle?
Yeah, it's about half and half.
Damn, that is crazy to think that this. I mean, if it wasn't for X-Men, we wouldn't have huge Jackman as Wolverine.
No, we wouldn't have you, Jaffrey. We wouldn't have the MCU. I mean,
No.
That's how Feige got started. Feige was producer.
Oh, he was a
Wasn't
producer of the X-Men.
he? Yeah. You'll go back and look at his credits. He was producer on some of those early X Men films.
What does the producer do? Do they just like produce?
Sit around, get paid.
Okay, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, we praise Kevin Feige, and I'm like, wait a minute, what does he actually do? He's like, he just sits around. He's just like, hey, you do this, okay.
As a producer, yeah, he does sit around. Well, I mean, we know what he does now, right?
Mm-hmm.
But prior to Iron Man, like yeah, he was a producer on X Men. I'm looking at X Men, Spider Man, Daredevil, X2,
Shit, all
Hulk,
right.
Punisher, Spider Man 2, Elektra, Fantastic Four, Last Stand, Spider Man 3.
He's
Right?
been through the shit.
He's been through the shit. So obviously he was the right choice when it came time to being president of Marvel Studios, but
Mm-hmm.
because he's been through the ups and the downs. I
Yeah, I
mean,
mean, Elektra, that's a fucking hurdle to get through.
yeah, Elektra. That's when he's been producers for movies like Elektra and Rise of the Silver Surfer.
Hey, that's a guilty pleasure movie for me.
I would
I
give you.
like
I'll give you the
those two.
first Fantastic Four. The first Fantastic Four is a guilty pleasure for sure. Absolutely.
It's still the best one. That's the saddest part.
Mac, the best Fantastic Four movie is Incredibles. I thought we talked about this already. There's
I'm talking about licensed Fantastic Four movies. Actually, no. The 2015 one is the greatest. No, I'm joking. The 2015 one is.
Just oh my god.
Do they have a tell me there's a cameo with the 2015 Fantastic Four movie?
Can I tell you?
The Deadpool. Is it not? No.
No, it's not. But
Okay.
if you really want to know something, there is a montage during the end credits of behind the scenes of everything Fox related,
Mm-hmm.
and there's some shots of them working on the 2015 Fantastic Four
Oh.
movie.
You think they paid Josh Trank that, or just said we don't want to talk to him again?
I don't remember seeing Josh Trank in that montage. So
that's a whole nother episode we could do. Just going over like what the fuck happened to Josh Trank.
I would love to do an episode just on the fall of Josh Trank and David Ayer.
Oh my! Well, at least with David Ayer, his movies are still getting like Beekeeper was pretty entertaining. Like Josh Trank did 3 movies in Dip. He did Chronicle, then Fantastic Four, and then did you watch Capone?
Yeah, Capone was one of my COVID lockdown movies, and oh my god, the movie was awful.
Did you not like seeing Tom Hardy shit himself?
Every 5 minutes, yeah, no,
Yeah.
I called it the Tom Hardy shit in his pants movie because
Is that when you realize that Tom Hardy does a little too much when he has like those roles where he just wants to just dick around?
I didn't I didn't blame Tom. I can't blame Tom Hardy for Capone. I blame a lot more on Josh Trank for that movie.
even though he's like, it's artistic movie. It's about syphilis and dementia.
Yeah,
Capone, he's chewing a carrot. It's symbolism.
I would love to know what that symbolism is then on the Mac. I would love to know. I will look and sit down with Josh Trank one day because he has not been blacklisted by Hollywood. He is never going to do anything in Hollywood.
He deleted his fucking Instagram, and the last thing he said was like, "Yeah, you guys ran me off Instagram. Fuck all of y'all." I was like, "Damn, what the fuck? What'd you say fuck me for?" But we're joined here by our third person, Dom from Talking TV.
What up?
Oh boy.
Hey Dom, quick question. What do you think about the career? What do you think about the career of Josh Trank?
What career? He made one movie.
Technically, he made
That's
three
it.
movies.
No,
Well
he made
done,
one
Dom.
movie.
Well done.
What other movies are you speaking of? He
Well
did
done.
not. He only directed one movie that qualifies as a movie.
I think he did something with.
I don't know what the fuck you call Fan Four Stick and and whatever that fucking Capone movie was, but those are not movies. I don't know what the hell those are. They involve cameras. They involve actors. Barely.
Motion. It has motion and words in it.
Those are not movies, though.
Oh my god, I'm gonna write that down.
I'm starting to get awake now, Mac. All right, let's.
Rod,
but
you again.
Dom, I was looking forward to this. When Mac told me,
I know you were.
I was like,
I know you were, because you were gonna say the same thing that everybody tells me. They're like, Dom, I've never met anyone like you, and I'm like, yeah, okay, get the fucking line.
Dom's the live wire. He brings the energy, which is greatly needed, and I think we need it tonight because we're going to talk about all the X-Men movies. We're going to just say our thoughts on all of them in celebration of Deadpool Wolverine.
Yes, sir. I saw last night. It was great. Don't listen to the haters online. It was fucking great.
I can't wait to see it, and I need to just see if this is like the No Way Home, where it's.
I'm not going to say any spoilers as far as cameos.
I do want to ask Dom this question though.
Yeah,
Mac. Dom, I've had a hard time reviewing this movie just because I don't know how to yet.
What about it is difficult with reviewing it? Is my question.
I think because I'm trying not to put my critic hat on for this one, and just from a pure Marvel fanboy perspective.
Yep.
Because there are things about this movie I can nitpick the shit out of.
Sure, absolutely. And what you can do is you can still acknowledge them as being flaws, but constantly reiterate that they don't take away from your enjoyment of the movie. Because at the end of the day, you still enjoyed it and had a good time, and that's really all that matters. Right?
I like this guy. I really do.
That's simple.
I really do.
I mean, if that's the case, Rod, then like a lot of people would have been like saying No Way Home was not a good movie.
Right.
If you think about it
like
that.
When I lead off my review for the movie on Sunday, I'm going to say, yeah, this is the weakest of the three Deadpool movies. I don't think that's a crazy or factually false statement. That doesn't take away from it being a super enjoyable time and a good, fun movie.
That's interesting. I think it's I might agree with you on that, actually.
Yeah.
Because Deadpool
easily, by default, it's the weakest of the three. And the fact that they still managed to make it a banger-ass Deadpool movie almost gives it some extra bonus points there.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like that all three of the Deadpool movies are good. It's just probably
It's a solid trilogy.
It's just more of like, which one do you enjoy the most? Because like so far, I haven't seen three, but I think I like one more than two. And
I enjoy all of them, honestly. I don't necessarily... It's one of those trilogies where... When I hear people saying that, like, oh, I enjoyed one necessarily more than the other, I'm like, I sort of get that. But for me personally, they all have that consistent level of quality that comes from the fact that Reynolds, because he carries these movies, Reynolds is so effing good as this character that, like, at the end of the day, any, like, sort of, like, criticisms don't really matter at the end of the day because he is always on point with these characters. And the fact that you spend pretty relatively little time without him on screen as the movies continue. Like, I'm pretty sure that I don't think he's off screen at all for like a single frame of this movie. I don't think. Maybe like a couple seconds.
There's a couple of scenes where he's
Jackman and Corinne, but I think that's about it.
Yeah, there's a couple of scenes with like Jackman and Daphne Keane, Emma Corrin and Paradox. But other than that, it's Reynolds for 98%.
Oh yeah, and hey, Rod, Some motherfuckers are always trying to still ice skate uphill, huh?
Wait, what? Wait,
Some motherfuckers are always still trying to ice skate
what?
uphill.
Wait a minute. Hold up. No. No. You're telling me that Wesley Snipes is in this movie?
I'm not saying shit.
Not saying
I'm not
anything,
saying
Mac.
shit.
Ah!
No spoilers, remember? No
Shit.
spoilers. We're in front of a live audience here.
Mac, you're back. You're not gonna be
I should
disappointed.
have gotten the fucking tickets a month ago. I don't know what the fuck's wrong with me.
I do want to ask Dom this other question though, Mac. Damn, I can't no spoilers, but I'm actually surprised by who didn't show up in this movie.
I am, but I'm also not because, I mean, they even comment, it's like they only had so much money to go around. And the fact that I know that there were reshoots and there were original plans to include the 838 verse and everything that came with that, and they decided to not go with that. And in hindsight, I'm very glad that they didn't.
It makes sense, yeah.
I'm very glad they didn't.
You motherfuckers are killing me right now. You guys like see like fucking pig Latin.
Listen, man, you were the one who decided to wait until the last minute to try and buy tickets for a movie that you knew was going to be sold out.
I see it with my dad, and I'm like, yo, let's go see it.
You could have bought
like,
2 tickets months in advance, and you didn't.
I didn't think about that, motherfucker.
That's a you problem. I made that mistake last year with Barbenheimer. Never again. Never again.
Oh, wait, can I hear this? I want to hear this story, Dom. I want to hear this.
So when I was buying tickets for Barbie and Oppenheimer Barbie was actually surprisingly easy to get tickets for. Oppenheimer, I swear to God, every fucking AMC theater on the island of Manhattan for opening day sold out. Every single one. And of course it was Barbenheimer, so we had to do both in one day. It was me and my brother, and I was trying to find and I finally found one. It was this dingy, shitty AMC theater on the Upper West Side. And my dumbass accidentally booked a wheelchair spot. So I literally sat on the fucking floor at the back of the theater for 3 hours watching Oppenheimer because that's how committed I am to my boy Nolan. That's how committed I am. I will sit on the floor for 3 hours watching Oppenheimer, and it was still my #1 movie of the year.
That's funny because I didn't have a problem with I had more trouble with Barbie than Oppenheimer here in Georgia.
I had no problems with Barbie at all.
Because Oppenheimer, all the tickets that were getting sold out were only for the IMAX screenings, right? Like the Dolby and the regular showings were filling up, but they weren't like no one wanted you to see this in IMAX, so that everyone was like trying to get a ticket to see an IMAX.
Dude, I saw Oppenheimer on Monday morning, and I had no problem getting the ticket. It was pretty much like just the back row was filled with me and the other people.
You saw it during the work day, you know.
It was still IMAX
during a work day, he says.
Dude, I'm so desperate to see Deadpool Wolverine. I'm contemplating getting front row seats tomorrow. That's like the only tickets that are left. Like I almost like Thursday night, and my dad's like, "No front row." I'll be like, "Tough titty, I want to go see this." You're gonna see.
Mac.
I don't care if the look up. I will look up and watch this shit.
Mac, I'm only gonna say this: do it.
Honestly, Mac, at this point, because the spoilers are already out there now. I mean,
I know. I can
hate flow through you.
When we saw Infinity War, we had to sit front row with the 3D glasses on. That was like the worst experience of my life. But I still love that movie. And it was like the recliners didn't go all the way back, so it's just like this.
Yeah, Infinity War. I made sure I bought my tickets in advance for the opening night, the first Thursday showing at my local college theater. We showed up an hour and a half before the movie started because this is a local theater. So we only got about like 10 minutes of trailers. So like you had to be there on like the time that it started. We were the first ones in the theater. We sat all the way in the back, packed fucking house. That shit was the loudest. I'm pretty sure that theater got so loud the entire town of Oswego heard it because Oswego's not a very big town.
They were like, oh shit, that superhero movie's on. They're freaking the fuck out.
But it's like, it's a college town. And it's upstate New York. It's very nerdy. Everybody and their mother knew what was playing in that theater that weekend.
Hey, Mac, you know what? Didn't get that sort of reaction. X-Men: The Last Stand. That's
damn right.
All right, let's get into it. Let's start with the first movie. I'm going to just share my screen, and we're going to go through and just share our thoughts with it, just to celebrate, Deadpool being out. And I think we should start. Let's go all the way back to the year 2000. Y2K didn't kill us, and we're going to talk about X-Men, one that started
also the year you were born, Mac.
99.
Oh, you're 99. Got it.
Yes. But yeah, I didn't see this until I was like old. Not old. Wow. I didn't see this until I was older.
You were M. Night Shyamalan?
Yes, I was. Yeah, I was. Yeah. So yeah, this is the one that is credited to kind of helping the superhero genre because this was during like Blade and then X-Men and then Spider-Man. Like this is part of the big three that started off what we knew from the modern day comic book movies. And what you guys think of it? Because people still think that this is probably out of the original trilogy, the second best one, maybe the first best one. What do y'all think?
I've got some controversial thoughts, like I always do. I like this one. It's fine. It's good. It's solid. At the time, I can understand why it was hailed and critically well received the way that it was. What's it called? Obviously, I think in comparison to a lot of the movies that came out afterwards, obviously it's not as good. But like you mentioned, the fact that this is part of arguably the holy trinity that proved that superhero movies could be not only box office worthy, but also actually well made with some thought into them. This Blade and Spider-Man all kind of 2 years apart from each other. I think the biggest takeaway for me from this movie, upon reading the official MCU book that Joanna Robinson wrote, which I just recently finished, was the fact that Kevin Feige obviously was serving as an assistant producer on this movie, working for Lauren Schuller Donner. And the biggest thing that I perceive from this movie is the back and forth between Kevin Feige. Sorry, did I say Kevin Spacey? Oh my God. Kevin Feige.
No, you said Feige.
Okay, Kevin Feige and Bryan Singer, the director, who obviously is no longer, directing movies for obvious reasons. The fact being that, Singer wanted to make it more of an more as real world grounded as possible, as far as being an allegory for LGBTQ rights specifically, versus Feige wanted it to be much more so emblematic of the comics that it was based on, to the point where they're literally putting in lines in this movie kind of making fun of the fact that they don't have the yellow spandex, and now we see where that's come around 24 years later. And yeah, I think we ultimately got the best of both worlds here, because again, it's not the best X-Men movie, it's not the worst, but it's solid, and it sets up the universe well enough, and it's also become one of those movies that's become dated, but in a good way. There's something about the early 2000s and some of those movies that are dated that, like, I don't know, feels kind of nostalgic. That's it. Those are my thoughts.
Oh,
I got to do a better job of wrapping that up.
Rod, what do you think?
Listen, Mac. I mean, you know this very well that I live and breathe by my comic book movies. Live and die by my comic book movies. So in a sense, I owe a lot, Mac, to this original X-Men film. But this film does nothing for me now.
Really?
It's not a film I go back and rewatch every year. Like, I rewatch a lot of comic films a lot. I don't go back and rewatch this. I think the last time I rewatched it was for that X-Men episode we did for our pod.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate what it did. It's just not. I think it's more nostalgia than anything, Mac. I just, for me, I think X2 is more special to me than the first. If we're talking about the original trilogy of X-Men films,
Yeah.
Yeah, this film doesn't really do a whole lot for me other than
X2 is objectively the better movie. That's the thing to keep in mind.
I think so, but like I said, I also have this part of me. It's like I don't want to crap on it because it gave it's part of that, like you guys been saying, this holy trinity of comic book films that launched us into this era of where we are now.
Mm-hmm.
So
you can divorce yourself. You can divorce the actual quality of the movie itself from what it helped to bring in. Like, those are two separate things to keep in mind.
That is true, Don. That is very true. So yeah, Mac, those are my. I mean, it's enjoyable. It's a fine, enjoyable film. I feel like if I say any more, I must be repeating a lot of stuff that Dom already said. Plus, I do think some of the later X-Men films are a little bit better.
Yeah.
Days of Future Past. So I'll reserve my comments for later. But
yeah, it's literally right in the middle, because like you get the iconic scenes, you get the iconic Magneto opening scene, which is if you ask me, one of the best opening scenes in comic book movie history, and you also get some not so good things, like Tyler Mane as Sabretooth, and Storm saying, you know, what happens to a toad when it's struck by lightning? The same thing as everything else, which, yeah. Joss
It's
Whedon
like that.
is still kicking himself over that line.
It's like a mixture of like what the clippiness we know now from the MCU and kind of like that early 2000s Raimi style of comic book type movies. It's like a glimpse into like what we had back then. And it, you know, like the Spider-Man movies, I will swear up and down, I love the Tobey Maguire movies. And I can even say some of them don't, some of the stuff just doesn't hold up as well, but it still has that charm of like, okay, this is a fun comic book movie. And I feel like that the first X-Men movie definitely is that. And it was just kind of cool because this was coming off like the cusp of the 90s series. And that's like considered like one of the greatest animated Marvel shows of all time. And you know how well the season 2 did this year. So it's definitely like shows people were excited because X-Men is very in the pop culture. Everyone knows X-Men. And I thought having this cast come together, you know, you got the perfect with, you know, Patrick Stewart as Charles, Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, Ian McKellen as Magneto, and you know, I did like Halle Berry as Storm. I thought she was really good Storm. I like.
Although that accent was not it.
Oh no, I'm glad
they
dropped that. They dropped that shit.
They dropped that quick.
But I did like it. I think X-Men, the first one, is kind of like a good introduction to everything, and I think they can smoothly transition to 2003, which everyone considers their favorite of the trilogy. That's X2. And this one we got to learn a little bit more about Wolverine, his origin story, which we'll get to that in a few years, his origin story. But a lot of people say that this is the best one of the trilogy, and I like this one the most out of the original 3 because I love the opening Nightcrawler scene. I thought that was just so badass. And I'm sad that we never got to see that type of Nightcrawler again. And I was like sad, but I like this. This movie had a good pace, a lot of good twist and turn. And, you know, I think this is more of a good character study on Wolverine, and we got to learn more about him.
I agree with everything you just said, Mac. I like we got a little bit more emotional depth with all of our characters.
Mm-hmm.
That White House sequence, in terms of opening acts or opening scenes to a comic book film,
mm-hmm.
it's probably still top 10 for me, Mac. If I had to make a list, it'd probably still be in my top 10. I still think the best for me right now is probably Infinity War with the introduction of Thanos.
Yeah,
and then the Joker scene in The Dark Knight. Well, actually, you know what? I'm curious what Dom thinks. That the opening to Deadpool Wolverine, it's up there. It is it's up there, Mac. You're gonna really like the opening to Deadpool Wolverine.
But, I hope so.
Opening to Deadpool Wolverine was fucking great and like really, really funny for a lot of different reasons. Yep. Like I said, I'll save that, Mac, for when you actually see it. As far as X2 goes, I mean, it helps that besides just being everybody's favorite, objectively speaking, it's the best of the trilogy. It's not, it's the classic case of a sequel that gets a bigger budget with the same director who like has more of a chance to actually cook and show off what he was trying to accomplish with the first one, but couldn't because of the limited budget. And you're right. The fact that we get Wolverine's origin, Alkali Lake, Weapon X program, you also get a lot more in-depth, nature with the other characters. You get a little bit more about Magneto. You get a little bit more about the Professor. You get to see a couple more of the supporting younger players get to take more center stage. Iceman, Rogue, obviously the introduction of still to me what is probably still the best on-screen live action version of Nightcrawler, Alan Cumming, still the funniest last name in all of Hollywood, but also an incredibly gifted actor. Also Logan Roy himself, Brian Cox is William Stryker, doing a pretty funny Southern accent. And yeah, it's solid. It's not the best for me. It's not the best X-Men movie. I understand why a lot of people say this is the best one, but again, it's more solid and it's like a better version of the first one.
I agree because I think I did like listen. I'd risk it for Anna Paquin as Rogue. I don't care if she drains my life force when I touch her. I'm risking it all.
I could not think of a better. Listen, I would die happy. I would die happy.
Because we didn't even talk about it that her character Rogue has a crush on Logan for like the first two movies, and
that's a
little uncomfortable. Yeah.
There is that.
And I mean, what better way to show your affection for someone than the
Yeah.
first film, to sneaking in his room, scaring the shit out of him, he stabs you.
Yeah,
And that-
literally gets stabbed and then fucking steals his powers to
you know,
heal herself.
I think that's what love is. You know,
You know, for the kids.
I think that's how sex
For
works.
the kids.
I think that's how that works. But I liked the introduction of Bobby Iceman. I think what's the actor's name?
And Sean Ashmore as Bobby.
He is
And
a
also
good
the
actor.
introduction of Aaron Stanford as Pyro.
Yes, that I think he was an underrated part of the
Very underrated part. That conversation between him and Magneto on the jet is one of the most underrated but also important conversations of the entire trilogy.
Also, we got the introduction as Rebecca Romaine as Mystique, because
We got them the first one.
Oh, she was I
She
forgot.
was the first one.
Yeah, she wasn't the first one.
But she's back, and my God, this is my opinion, man. I think she's hotter than Jennifer Lawrence.
I mean, come on. Come on.
I think
One of them was an actual model and was married to John Stamos. The other one was Jennifer Lawrence.
I was like, shit.
Like, come on.
Do I think she's a better Mystique? Debatable. But you know, I did like X2, and I did like Stryker as a villain too. His southern accent was kind of funny. He's like, "Oh, son, you don't remember what we did to you?" I was like, "What the fuck? Like, what is this?" This
I'll say this, Mac, about that Mystique thing. If Jennifer Lawrence had stopped playing Mystique on her Days of Future Past, I think there's more of a conversation to be had. But then she did 2 more of these, and she just phoned it in.
Yeah, but in fairness,
not being there.
she's not the only one that suffered as a result of those second 2 prequel movies.
No, you're right. But
They should have, in hindsight, they should have cut it after Days of Future Past.
I agree with you. I agree.
Yeah, but oh god. Moving on to the best one, X-Men: The Last Stand. Yay! So after the big shock in 2 was that Jean Grey died. And yeah, so they're like, listen, what's the most iconic thing of the entire X-Men comics? Dark Phoenix. That's like the big thing in the X-Men comics that can like really be a game changer. So they said, all right, third movie, we need to introduce Dark Phoenix. How do we do it? Well, how about we bring back Jean Grey, who in the comics and in the original show gets taken over by Dark Phoenix, and have her come back to life. And you're like, okay, cool. Then James Marsden dies. Good start.
Stupid. That was one of the worst decisions.
In all fairness, it's not like the first 2 movies really gave him a lot to do. So that's why I've always kind of been along the lines of like, was Cyclops really that big of a loss? Because it's not like the first 2 movies really gave him a whole lot to do. Don't get me wrong. The decision is dumb, considering that you could have had something really interesting happening here. With, you know, as far as once Jean comes back as the Phoenix and is way more into Logan than Scott.
Mm-hmm.
But still, like, it's not like he was really that compelling of a character to begin with, just based off those first 2 movies. Like somebody who had never read an X-Men comic or had no understanding of the X-Men, that's a pretty poor representation of Cyclops, really.
I was gonna say, the Cyclops in these movies, they never got him right than they did in the show, to be honest with you. So who but
you know what's bad when Ty Sheridan is a better Cyclops than James Marsden.
But the movie gets better from there because they introduce a cure for mutants. And they're like, are we gonna take it? And then Rogue's like, Bobby, you're a bitch. I'm gonna go take this cure because I'm sick of killing people I have sex with. So yeah, Rogue's gone for 80% of the movie. Then they introduce a boy.
The rest of the X-Men are like, we're not gonna take it. Yo, we ain't gonna take it.
Then we get introduced to a boy who's a cure himself, which is interesting.
Oh shit, I forgot about that.
Yeah, because remember, Kelsey. Okay, I gotta say the reason why I like the third one because Kelsey Grammer as Beast, I actually really like.
That's part of the movie.
Yep. And I was gonna jump on that. Yeah, no, I will say that while X3 is unfortunately still in the bad X-Men movies camp, I will say that compared to the rest of the shit we got, it's the best of the worst. It's the best. I will take X-Men 3, The Last Stand, over Origins, Apocalypse, Dark Phoenix, and New Mutants any old day of the fucking week. Any old day of the fucking week. And Again, I know that everybody loves to shit on Brett Ratner. Understandably so. The man did himself no favors as far as his public personality. But I don't like the idea of everybody... They kind of use this movie as an indictment on Brett Ratner's skills as a director, which I think is really unfair, considering the fact that this is the same person who gave us all 3 Rush Hour movies, which are classics. And also Tower Heist, I think, is criminally underrated. I know everybody shat on that movie when it came out. I don't think that movie's that bad. And like you said, it gave us Kelsey Grammer's Beast, who I think still to a lot of people is the definitive version of Beast, despite the fact that outside of 2 cameo appearances after this, this is his only appearance, like, actually as the character. And I really do have to give credit to Brett Ratner, because Brett Ratner was the one who, when he imagined Beast talking in the comics, all he heard was Frasier. So I give him a lot of credit for that. Kelsey Grammer is the standout of this movie. He really, really elevates this to what would otherwise be pretty piss poor. Also, in a way, this movie gets credit because this is the movie that introduced de-aging technology. Because even though it was very, very rudimentary at the time, this is the first instance where we get de-aged Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen in that opening scene. Also, if you ask me, and this is going to be where it's really controversial, of the original trilogy, I think this has the best action sequences of the 3 movies. I think this has the best action of the 3. Because outside of the Nightcrawler scene from X2, which is pretty phenomenal, and the Logan Lady Deathstrike fight at the end, there's not that much action in X2. You know, the mansion storming sequence, okay, but there's not like one-on-one. So this is the best fight choreography from an action standpoint. You get Iceman versus Pyro. You get, you know, them fighting that massive army of mutants. You get Wolverine versus Juggernaut. And also Ben Foster as Angel, who everybody overlooks because he barely gets anything to do, in fairness. And he's kind of a plot device more than a character, but still, that's pretty inspired casting, to say the least. Also, we got Ellen Page, or now Elliot Page, as Shadowcat, which is also fucking awesome. So, yeah, this movie, I think, because of its reputation that it's garnered, there's a lot of good points in this movie that are overlooked. Yes, the decision to do both the Cure storyline and the Dark Phoenix storyline was weak and a little bit of a mismatch and a hodgepodge. But honestly, again, compared to not only some of the bad X-Men movies, but some of the shit superhero movies that we got after this movie, I really don't hate this movie as much as everybody else does. I really don't. And especially given that at the time when we didn't know that we were going to get more X-Men movies after this, it's not the worst 3rd movie wrap-up. Like, put it this way. I take this movie, as far as mid-2000s 3rd superhero movies that didn't stick the landing, I take this over Spider-Man 3 any day of the week.
I disagree.
I was saying, I'm like,
really? You guys go Spider-Man 3 over X3.
I Spider-Man 3, yeah.
Interesting.
I think you go ahead, Rod.
Well, I mean, if we're gonna talk about Spider-Man 3 real quick, I mean,
no.
I don't know where we're really into. I mean, I don't have anything else really to add to X-Men: The Last Stand. It's not really. This one didn't really work for me. What I was gonna add was that it's funny that we got 2 very average comic book films this year, or in 2006 with this and Superman Returns.
Superman Returns, right? The movie that Bryan Singer left this franchise to direct because he wanted to direct Superman.
Yep.
How did that work out?
Not so good. Not so good.
I'll say that Superman Returns.
He should have stuck with that.
Superman Returns is a good drama, but it's not a good Superman movie.
In fairness, they gave us Kevin Spacey as Luthor, which, again, controversial opinion. Spacey is the best on-screen live action Lex Luthor.
I agree.
Yeah,
I thought Spacey was fantastic.
Yeah.
I will say, I did like the promotion for Superman Returns because I had the Burger King gave out those newspaper articles for toys when it came out.
The marketing for that movie was crazy. They went all out for
it. Because that was like the first Superman movie in years. It was kind of cool to see.
Superman movie since Superman 4, which bombed.
I think one thing with Last Stand, I think I agree with you, Dom, is that I feel like the plot to have the Cure and the Dark Phoenix is kind of
it was a mismatch because I don't remember which one was the original one with the original script when Singer was still involved. I'm pretty sure Singer just wanted to do the Cure storyline, and then of course it was a classic mid-2000s studio decision where they're like, we gotta have this thing. They're like, we gotta have the Dark Phoenix for X3. We gotta have Venom for Spider-Man 3. You know?
I feel like they could have did the Cure for this movie, and then they did one more movie. The Dark Phoenix could have been the last one.
Cure should have been 3. They should have cut Jean from this entirely, and then this movie should have ended with the Jean rising from Alkali Lake as the Phoenix, which cues us up for Dark Phoenix as the 4th one.
Yeah, and it would have been good. I mean, maybe, but at least it would have been better than, and don't forget, Mystique got cured. She got hit with the Cure, and then Magneto's like, we don't talk to the humans, the Homo
Yeah.
sapiens. So like, what the fuck? Yeah. And then I was telling Rod before the stream, my favorite line was when Ellen Page was running as running through the walls, Juggernaut was chasing her. He's like, don't you know who I am? I'm the Juggernaut,
bitch.
Yes.
Incredible.
Oh my god. I think that Last Stand, it like the action, my favorite part too is when he kicked the guy in the balls who was growing the arms back. He's like, grow those back. I'm like, there are some fun moments.
There's some good moments in this movie. It's the best of the bad X-Men movies. There's the good X-Men movies and there's the bad X-Men movies. And this is the best of the bad ones.
And speaking of bad ones, let's move on to 2009. X-Men Origins Wolverine. Hot damn. It has a great video game. The video game's awesome. But damn, where do I begin with this? This was originally supposed to be like a new type of films they're going to do, explaining each origins of different X-Men, and they wanted to do like, Storm, Magneto, everyone. And this one did not do well. It infamously got leaked online, and I think my friend had a copy of it, and we watched it, and we saw the scene where they were running towards Patrick Stewart on the fucking green screen onto the helicopter. And so I've seen this movie in its raw form, and I mean, Hugh Jackman's back in Wolverine, and I like Liv Schreiber as Sabretooth, and this introduced us to Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. He came back as not Deadpool, but if Wolverine,
remember William Stryker with the second actor that played him, Danny Houston, in his only appearance as William Stryker. It's like, I needed your powers. I needed them for the pool. The Deadpool.
This movie is
writer strike.
This movie fucking sucks. Like I generally think this is like, to that point, was like the worst X-Men movie.
I'll say for me, the difference between this and the later movies. I mean, it's kind of weird how a lot of the later X-Men movies in like the series, right, as they go on, they kind of become afflicted by a lot of the same problems, where this one, you had the writer's strike, and then Dark Phoenix, you had the Disney buying the Disney Fox merger, and then New Mutants is COVID. So it's kind of interesting how each of like the last couple of X-Men movies in these two respective eras, right, kind of gets screwed over by forces that have really nothing to do with the production of the movies itself. So that's kind of something that I did want to point out. And what I'll say too is the thing that I like more about this movie, despite the fact that it is a mess, don't get me wrong, this movie is a mess, but I guess the difference between, say, like the 2000s messes versus the 2010s and early 2020s messes is that this one you can at least see what they were trying to go for. Like Dark Phoenix and New Mutants, for the life of me, I have no idea what they were trying to go for. Well, I'll get to those two when I get to them. This one I could at the very least see what they were going for. And as far as the arc of Wolverine's origin and his conflict with Sabretooth, that arc actually is pretty compelling for me. It's when you get into all the side characters and the subplots, like Logan's girlfriend and all the extra mutants on the island, and the Blob, and Will.i.am is a teleporter in this movie. Like that's where you start to lose me, And also everybody forgets Dominic Monaghan plays a mutant that controls electricity.
Mm-hmm.
The plot also makes no sense. It's like someone's killing off all the members of our team, so they try to put like a Watchmen angle there so I can get Wolverine back in. But really it's so I can lure Wolverine to the island so I can give him the adamantium so I can see that it works. Why? Like, you know he's got the healing factor, you know that he's going to survive, and you know that he's going to find out your evil plan to basically create this hodgepodge of mutant powers, like basically like the ultimate mutant. I guess essentially, like, I think the most insulting thing about Deadpool in this movie is the fact that he's not Deadpool. They essentially make him the Marvel version of Amazo, the Amazo android from DC, but as a mutant. So that's kind of where things get a little messy. And also the fact that they introduced Gambit in this movie, but like he's kind of just a plot device. And what I will say is that Taylor Kitsch, unfortunately, was a victim of the late 2000s, early 2010s of like, okay, we're trying to find the next movie star when it was very clear that IP was becoming the big draw for movies, not talent. Because this happened to Sam Worthington too. Thank God Sam Worthington got lucky by getting Avatar. Taylor Kitsch was not so lucky between this and then how can we forget the the following year? I keep thinking that it's that he was in Prince of Egypt, but that's Jake Gyllenhaal.
John Carter.
Yeah, again, 2012. Fast forward 3 years later, and you have the trifecta of John Carter of Mars, Battleship, and Savages. The Oliver Stone movie. Like
I love Savages. I will.
I do like Savages.
Yeah, but not a lot of other people did. So yeah, so poor Taylor Kitsch got screwed by this, and yeah, it got screwed by the writer's strike and the fact that it was it was kind of a thing where they had a good idea for a Wolverine arc, but not a good story really to put him in. And also, need I remind you guys that this movie was also written by one of the showrunners of Game of Thrones, David Benioff. So
yeah, that makes a lot of
sense.
Yeah. See, Will.i.am was a teleporter.
Yes, he was.
Change it to Will I Act.
Yeah,
because he's not that. Let me stop. I do
superhero name. He was like, listen, man. I don't want to into those bullshit stupid superhero names. I just want to be called Wrath. That's what I'm gonna be. I'm gonna be. And then he just starts going. I'm terrible.
Oh,
I'm terrible.
What do you think about Origins?
Okay. So
the breathing says it all.
We have a lot of shit comic movies out there, Mac. I still think the worst for me is Fan Force. I still think that is the worst comic movie I've ever seen.
Yeah, the more I think about it, like, because even Green Lantern is not as bad as Fan Force.
No, it's not.
The more I think about it, it's Fan Force. That's the worst one.
It's Fan Force. Catwoman's up there. Elektra's up there.
I throw Morbius in there too. Morbius and Venom too. I throw in there.
Yeah, Morbius. I'll definitely throw Morbius in there. Absolutely.
Yeah. And Madam Web. As the anti-movie of our time.
Mac knows why. Anyway, back to X-Men Origins Wolverine. There was one when I walked out of this movie. My dad took me to see this. Well,
I'm sorry for your dad.
My dad fell asleep, so don't feel bad for him.
Okay, he was spared.
At least we had Hugh Jackman. At least we had Hugh Jackman because he tried. He tried his damnedest to carry this movie, and he could not overcome the awful writing. And I was looking at this up down when you said one of the writers. I was like, weren't there like 2 or 3 writers for this movie?
Oh, there were a lot of writers, but I'm saying I think the initial draft, I want to say, was David Benioff. I think.
So I looked up. It's Skip Woods who was the other writer for this nom.
Right.
And his credits include Hitman, The 18.
Which one? Okay.
I was about to say, yeah, which one?
He wrote both. He wrote both Hitman movies.
Oh, what?
Wow. Mm-hmm.
They're like, you did good in the first one. Get your ass back for the Rupert Friend one.
Good to Die Hard.
Agent 47. And does he have that's continuity from the game, right? That there's a barcode on the back of his neck.
I think so, yeah.
I will never forget the Spill.com review of that movie where the joke that they make is that you could just use his head at the supermarket in order to get unlimited groceries. Still one of the best Spill.com reviews and jokes that they've made in their entire run.
So yeah, at least we had Hugh Jackman, and I will defend the stuff with Liev Schreiber. I thought Liev Schreiber was a pretty solid Sabretooth.
Yeah,
he's an underutilized actor.
Yeah, he is. Well, no, disagree. Ray Donovan, and he does a lot of stuff in theater, so he's doing just fine.
Finally, someone who else would have seen Ray Donovan. Thank you so much.
Come on,
I like
6 seasons of that show. That's nothing to sleep on.
I like him in Goon. That's one of my favorite movies that I'm trying to get people to watch. It's a hockey movie. He's great in that movie. I was like, you're a fucking god. But
yeah, I enjoyed that stuff. I thought I'm glad Deadpool 2 kind of went in and fixed everything.
Literally shot his counterpart in the head.
I don't blame him because that was bullshit. You know what to talk about?
He's not Deadpool. He's literally a Mazo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine if we never got Deadpool. That would have been like the sort of closest thing we ever got. Because like essentially Ryan Reynolds in the beginning was, they said it's Wade Wilson. That was essentially Deadpool before the mask.
He's Wade Wilson in the beginning, but without the self-awareness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they decided to, because they did like a montage in the beginning of like Wolverine throughout history. I would have liked to have spent some time in certain events that Wolverine and Sabretooth were a part of. Well, Captain America: The First Avenger did the same thing, where they montage through a bunch of stuff just to get to, the final confrontation with Red Skull. So I wish we could have spent some more time with that. It's just a Mac. When you talk about forgettable, awful, just I want to cut my eyeballs out kind of movies, X-Men Origins Wolverine is on that list for me. First of all, I remember that theater being packed because we went like on a Friday night after school. Right, I felt so cool. I was like, I'm going to see X-Men Origins Wolverine. What are y'all doing on your Friday night? And then I wish I could have taken all that back, Mac.
he's like, yeah, talk your shit. There you go.
Yeah,
listen,
like, I'm a man.
Did you fall in love with those CGI claws?
Oh yeah, the bathroom scene. Which, in fairness, the farm scene actually isn't bad.
No, it's not.
The farm scene is actually not bad. It's just ruined by the CGI claws. Also, the initial escape scene was missing a lot of violence. It was very clear that like he was supposed to gut a few people in there and was limited by the PG-13ness of it all.
What did you guys think of oh my god, why am I drawing the blank on his name? Mac, help me out here. Stryker.
Danny Houston. It's the most. Well, actually, no. It's the second most forgettable because the guy who plays him in the prequels is equally as forgettable, but it's the most forgettable. But I mean,
think it's just generic.
It's weird because like William Stryker is not necessarily like one of the top 5 worst or best X-Men antagonists. So like the fact that they've relied on that character so much for kind of all the X-Men movies, despite the fact that he's not that big of a character, it kind of ruins the chance for really any actor to really put their stamp on it. Obviously, Brian Cox wins by virtue of the fact that he's Brian Cox, but the irony being actually that for those who want to deep dive, in Succession, the premiere of season 2, we actually got a Stryker reunion because Danny Houston appears in that episode with Brian Cox as one of his colleagues. And I literally just realized that now. I'm like, oh my God, the two William Strykers sitting next to each other conversing.
Strikeception.
Literally.
Strikeception.
Yeah.
What did y'all think about the ending of it? How they were like said like this is how he lost his memory from the first 2 movies.
Stupid.
It's whatever.
That was dumb.
It's whatever. Like, okay, adamantium bullet to the head. I'm like, I don't think that's what causes amnesia, but okay.
But we never learned about his girlfriend ever again. She was in one movie and that's it.
Well, I did feel a little something when he looked at her, and then
that was always meant to be like a one-off character, though.
Right.
Yeah.
And then she's never mentioned again.
Yeah, Lynn Collins is that actress. She was on also 4 episodes of the first season of True Blood, literally just to serve the exact same purpose, to die to motivate the plot and the individual character in that scene.
Tom, I've never fully gone through True Blood. Is that worth watching?
I like
it. For an entertainment factor alone, yes. If you pay attention to the story, you will get lost. But for an entertainment factor and the fact that every actor on that show is giving 110%. Like, you literally even saw Joe Manganiello recently at an interview said that, like, yeah, every actor on that show was way too overqualified for that show.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But let's move on to 2013. And actually, no, not 2013. I'm sorry. Can I go up? We're going to move on to 2011, which we finally got a good X-Men movie after all these years. X-Men First Class. I like to call it X-Men First Ass, but not for the bad reason, because this is actually a good movie. This is a good ass movie. And this is directed by Matthew Vaughn, who would later go on to do Kingsman, Argyle, besides Argyle, I do like the Kingsman movies. First Class is a fun movie. What it is, it serves as a prequel, and it pumps some new blood. We got some new actors. We got James McAvoy from Wanted as Charles Xavier. We got Nicholas Hoult as Beast, Jennifer Lawrence as Raven, and then Michael Fassbender as Magneto. And we're introduced to like how it all started to what we know it for. And people considered this one of the better of the series. or if not like the best next to the other one we'll get to.
I know a lot of people. This is like up to like top 3, top 4 in terms of X Men movies. I'm not there. I think it's like 5, 6, 7. It's somewhere in that range for me, Mac. Of like it's a very good. Matthew Vaughn brought some new life into this franchise, which was much needed.
Mhm.
I actually thought the movie he did the year before, Kick Ass, is probably still my favorite of his. I loved his first Kick Ass movie.
Right.
But First Class is a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with this movie. I love Michael Fassbender and James McAvoy. They are kind of the heart of this movie for me, Mac. I love their chemistry. Their back and forth works really well. Jennifer Lawrence, I thought was good. Because was this before or after the? No, this was before
This is
the
the
Hunger
1
Games.
year before Hunger Games, before
Okay.
she blows up in 2012 with Hunger Games and Silver Linings Playbook.
So this was after Winter's
Yes.
Bone, then. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was like the perfect position, like in between movie for her, because she'd been nominated the year before for Winter's Bone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And I thought Kevin Bacon was actually I think he's one of the stronger villains in this franchise. I thought he was fantastic. And that opening scene going back into Magneto's childhood, the loss of his mother, that's haunting. That was scary. There's some. He's a pretty menacing villain, I feel like, Mac. So for me, why it's not up there, aside from Charles and Eric, there's not a whole lot of other emotional depth, like say like a Deadpool or even a Days of Future Past gives me, or a Logan. But this Matthew Vaughn gave some new life into this franchise with this movie, man. Because if this movie was bad, I don't know if I don't know if Days of Future Past happens. I don't know if Logan happens. I really don't.
I can agree with that. And actually, shout out to the opening scene, the Shaw's intro, because that actually pays off what we saw in the first movie when we saw that scene where Magneto was at the concentration camp and he started to showcase his powers, and they expanded on that. I was like, holy shit, they actually fucking continuity. I respect them for that. Yeah, no, I think this was like breathed that new life because after Origins and Last Stand, people were like, damn, X-Men is dead. And this came out like during that period when superhero movies was kind of going through that resurrection because the MCU was starting to pop off. Because the only competition they had this year was Thor.
And the first Captain America, which is great.
And first Captain America. And this is like a year before Avengers.
Forget the iconic Green Lantern.
I
like first classic. Continuing Ryan Reynolds' track record. Okay, so my piece on this. This is okay. I don't know how controversial I'm going to get, but fuck it. I really got to stop saying that. This is the best X-Men movie, team up wise, as far as the main continuity of X-Men, not counting the Deadpool movies or Logan, because those are more kind of solo individual. As far as the team up, the big team X-Men movies go, this is the best one easily. Days of Future Past is neck and neck with it. They're very close, but because Days of Future Past is more so centered on Wolverine, Professor X, and Magneto, that qualifies to me less as an X-Men movie. As far as the team up movies go, where we get the team of X-Men, this is the best one, easily, without question. Matthew Vaughn is the best director in this. This is my personal favorite X-Men movie. I probably rewatched this the most of all the X-Men movies. In terms of breathing new life, I mean, the revelations that are McAvoy and Fassbender. Obviously, Fassbender, this shows that not only is he a superstar, but he's possibly one of, if not the best actors of the decade, truly. Holt is Young Beast, obviously. Unfortunately, as a result of the decreased budget, some of the fight choreography and makeup may have suffered a bit, but honestly, like it's all worth it because the storytelling here, I think, is the best. I think it establishes the conflict as far as like the world becoming introduced to mutants perfectly. I think that it utilizes its cast and all of its ensemble members the best. Everybody has a clear outlined arc in such a way that really no other X-Men movie does. Days of Future Past is the closest one to it. That's why not even just as superhero movies, but as films, this one and Days of Future Past work the best for me. And as far as what's even more interesting is that Matthew Vaughn came on at the last minute and only had like 2 or 3 months to shoot this movie. And he somehow pulled it off. And like I said, it has the best cast of any of these movies. Everybody forgets that besides the main four, right, Kevin Bacon is the bad guy, but Zoe Kravitz, Caleb Landry Jones, Lucas Till, January Jones, what's it called? It really is. It's a pretty solid cast ultimately. And yeah, it's my absolute favorite. I have the fondest memories of watching this one. I watched this at the South Hills Mall, which was the cheap $2 theater in my town, and I have a lot of fond memories, a lot of good movies that I saw there. I believe I actually saw Kung Fu Panda there, but I'm not sure. And yeah, this was absolutely a phenomenon. I love this movie so much.
He brought up Lucas Till, and I haven't heard that name in years. Last
Yeah.
time I heard that
Not
was
to
the
mention
Monster Truck.
also that as far as besides being one of the best, if not the best prequel movie ever made, aside from the Planet of the Apes movies, it's also possibly one of the best reboots as well.
I agree. And this was like our introduction to kind of close to what we got for the X-Men being in their iconic suits, I guess.
Yeah, at the time, yeah.
Yeah, because there was like yellow and black, and I like the jet. I think that whole final sequence of this movie is what really made it, especially the scene where Magneto fully became Magneto and he put the coin through Shaw's head, and you saw it cut between Xavier reacting to the coin going through Shaw's head. I thought that was amazing, and I was like, yes, I'm excited. Give me more of this movie. And they kept up the momentum, but then we'll talk about how it just fell hard.
Yeah.
Don't know what happened, but
yeah, that's the thing about the X-Men movies under Fox. They had really, really high peaks and really, really low valleys.
Moving on 2 years later to something where I feel like doesn't get enough love, and I actually like. It's my favorite, well, at the time, Wolverine movie, The Wolverine, which was a sequel to Origins, and this time it takes place after the events of Last Stand, and we follow Wolverine in Japan. And I love this movie. I love Wolverine. I think it's, at the time, the best Wolverine movie compared to what we got before.
This one's a weird spot for me because this one, it's not in the bad X-Men camp, but it's not quite in the good X-Men camp. So this is Mangold's introduction, right? And at the time, I was very unfamiliar with Mangold as a director, and I really didn't know what to expect going in with this movie. I'm like, okay, it's Wolverine in Japan with samurai. It was the summer of 2013, which was a really weird summer as far as blockbusters go, because that was the first, I would say, not weak, but weird movie summer. We didn't get a lot of bangers. For me, my favorite movie that I remember seeing that summer is Now You See Me, which should tell you something about that summer in comparison to the previous two summers, which are two of the all-time great blockbuster movie summers of our youth. So this one comes in, and in hindsight, it's pretty well done as a movie. Mangold knows what he's doing here. The issue is the PG-13 rating, because as we saw with what he was able to do with Logan, I feel like this kind of was lacking as far as how far it could go. The choreography and action sequences are great, but the other problem too is ultimately it's a forgettable supporting cast, because by virtue of where it's set and its ultimate impact on the larger X-Men story, it felt inconsequential as far as that goes. The villain herself was pretty lame. The twist with the giant metal samurai at the end. As far as the Logan mortality arc, okay, that's cool and all, but the problem is that it's kind of cut off by the fact that we know that it's artificially induced. It's not actually happening to him. So the whole him battling his immortality kind of gets defeated. Its purpose kind of gets defeated at the end of the day, Also, the fact that continuity wise, it's another movie that kind of sort of gets ignored by the other X-Men movies, So yeah, it's right in the middle for me.
So I have a different approach to this now, because I actually thought that summer of 2013. Okay, if I line this up correctly. Yeah, I thought that summer, because we were treating the Iron Man 3, Man of Steel, and X-Men.
Yeah, Iron Man 3, Man of Steel, Kick-Ass 2, Now You See Me, Monsters University was that summer.
Well, I'm just talking about in just
Man of Steel,
pure comic book movies. So we had Iron Man 3, Kick-Ass 2. Take out Kick-Ass 2.
And Man of Steel, yeah.
Yeah, I thought Kick-Ass 2 was a massive disappointment. I'm going to take out Kick-Ass 2.
Honestly.
I thought Jim Carrey was the best part about that movie, honestly. I thought if you take this Iron Man 3, Man of Steel, and the Wolverine, I think they're all criminally underrated, each in their own right, for different reasons.
Yeah. Man of Steel, definitely.
Yeah, but we don't have time to go through all three of those. But as far as the Wolverine goes, Mac, those first two acts, I was thinking this is going to be a top 10 comic book film for me.
Mm-hmm.
I was digging this character study in Japan, kind of Logan kind of being haunted by Jean Grey's death, all this stuff, trying to just get away from all that nonsense from the original trilogy. I like the storyline too of him being poisoned as well. Losing the ability to heal. And then the ridiculous third act happens, Mac, and that's when the film lost. The film lost me in that third act. It did. I was like, we went from something where it was almost grounded for the most part. It was almost grounded for the most part to just going completely off the rails and turning into a silly comic movie. That last act, Mac, kind of ruined. It didn't ruin my experience or my enjoyment of the film, because I do think it's still underrated. But I wish they had done something differently than what it ended up being. But other than that, Mac, I gotta say, I think this is actually one of Hugh Jackman's best performances as Wolverine.
Mm-hmm.
It's up there with Logan and now Deadpool.
Yeah,
Wolverine
he really he knew the character at this point, and at this point, from he passed his cameo in First Class as far, because this was his first time back in the X-Men series since 2009. So it had been a couple years. It had been it had been 4 years. So.
And then who was the I hate saying sidekick, but
Yukio, what's her name? I think the actress's name is Tao Okamoto. I'm pretty sure.
That's
no, I'm wrong.
No, that's the love interest.
That's it.
Tao
Okamoto is Mariko, the love interest.
Yeah, not her. Shoot, but the woman.
Rila
Fukushima. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. No, yeah, I loved her. I wish we saw more of her in the franchise. I thought she was a great addition, and she ended up foreshadowing Logan's death.
That
which
totally coincidental at all. He's like, you died in this room, even though you died with your heart in your hand.
Well, I like how James Mangold called back to that, though, right? I love how he did that. So, and then my favorite sequence is that bullet train sequence, Mac. Just entertaining.
That was awesome.
Very, very well done sequence.
I love that sequence so much, and some of the samurai fights were cool. Do we have to bring in the big robot at the end? I mean, it was just so dumb. No, we did it back. We did not.
Yeah, robots are awesome. Damn it. But no, I understand you, because I think with Wolverine, there's a movie, Black Rain from the 80s, where this
good movie, Ridley Scott directed.
Yeah. I like when we have a fish out of water. Someone comes to Japan. I think Japan's a beautiful city, and it has great stories to tell. That's why I kind of Tokyo is just like a soft spot. I like Wolverine in this era of Japan, and I just think it worked for that style, because it was able to just have its own style with him going on this own journey. And I do say I love the opening scene when it flashes back to World War II. It kind of sets up to how he knows Silver Samurai, which I thought was great. And then I will say the third act, and they did a little, and I'll even say the ending reveal with Charles being alive. I was like, cool, I guess. But what if you didn't watch Last Stand? You didn't know that he had a clone, Yeah. But
Mac, real quick, because I just realized something. Are we doing Deadpool with these movies too, or just the main X-Men movies?
Just the main X-Men movies.
Okay.
Yeah, no. So I liked Wolverine. I thought Wolverine was pretty fun, and this started a streak with actually 3 decent X-Men movies, because in 2014 we got X-Men: Days of Future and Past.
Second best X-Men movie to some, it's the best, and I understand why. It's incredible, this movie.
Yeah, I am on that camp, Dom. I think it is the best in terms of just pure X-Men movies. It's just the best.
Yeah,
I thought, because I love the comic run of Days of Future Past. So the way, I can't give this man credit, but the way Singer was able to adapt this, deserves a lot of.
Yeah, there's an argument to be made that after Usual Suspects, this is Singer's best movie.
I agree.
And as far as just a pure action base, and also it benefited from the fact that it came out in the best year for movies, one of the best years for movies ever, 2014, which literally there were only 5 bad movies released that entire year. It was an spectacular year.
This is coming out a month after Captain America: The Winter Soldier, right? So
just about. This was the Memorial Day release that weekend. Right. Yeah.
And okay, so let me take that back. 3 weeks removed from Amazing Spider-Man 2, womp womp womp.
Which even Amazing Spider-Man 2 is not awful in hindsight.
It's not awful, but it was definitely a disappointment.
I like it better than the first Amazing Spider-Man.
I will agree with you on that, 100%. In terms of just written films, comic book films, guys, this is up there in terms of just best, in terms of just sharply written script. This is a tight screenplay. I love this. The way manages all these characters and the way they're going
Yeah.
back and forth between the future and the past.
Yeah. For me,
So
this
seamlessly.
is top 3 comic book movie scripts. It goes Dark Knight, Winter Soldier, and then this movie. And then 4 would be Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can agree.
This is
with
as far
the
as like best like written, as far as like super tight, accomplishes exactly what it wants to,
Yep.
has no fat on it at all, no meandering kind of weird scenes. Yeah, those are the top 4. And then
can
I would
agree
throw the first Raimi Spider-Man and 78 Superman in there as well from a writing standpoint.
And
I can
this
agree.
is- oh, go ahead, Mac.
I can agree the writing's good because my favorite scene is when Charles talked to James McAvoy as past Charles and then Patrick Stewart's current Charles. They had that good conversations, like
Such a great moment.
that was such a great
Yes.
oh, this is 2 generations of
Yes.
people and it's smartly dialogue.
The fact that even though this movie is centered around Wolverine, Wolverine is not the lead of the movie, which I kind of
not.
love. Like, that's kind of insane how the movie was able to kind of pull that switcheroo where it tricks you into thinking that Wolverine is the main character, but he's not. It's a Professor X movie.
Yeah, but
at
this
the end
is
of the
a
day.
Charles redemption.
Yeah.
Redemption story.
Really, if you think about it, it's really a trifecta. It's because it's Wolverine as the handoff, and then it's a 1-2 between Professor X and Mystique. As
Yep.
far as kind of healing that rift, really, and kind of continuing them on to the next stage of their journeys, and the fact that they're still able to make Magneto the villain, even though the primary villain the primary threat that they've established, like just from a script standpoint, it sings. It works so well, like so well. It's kind of amazing, honestly, that they pulled that off, because this movie, really, if this was in the hands of a lesser director and lesser writers, would have needed like an extra hour just to set up the threat of the Sentinels. But the fact that they're able to accomplish it in that opening action sequence is amazing.
Let me ask you guys this question. Because I've when we talk about this on our pod, Mac, I whenever we talk about this movie in particular, I still die on this hill that I agree probably wouldn't have won because we had J.K. Simmons for Whiplash that year. But I still think James McAvoy should be nominated for Best Supporting Actor for this movie. Am I crazy, Don, for thinking that?
No, not at all.
Okay. Mac, what do you think?
I mean, I have to think about it. I'm like, no, because he did do a great job. I think James McAvoy is a very underrated actor when it comes to these movies. Like, I think he was able to do Professor X justice, like as Patrick Stewart did, and I think that his performance in this one was very good.
There is a scene on the I forgot where they're going. I think they're going to go recruit Quicksilver. No,
Yeah.
this is after
Yep.
recruit Quicksilver. There's a scene on the plane where it's just Charles and what's his face?
Magneto.
Magneto. Where it's like, hey, where were you? You betrayed me. No, you betrayed us. We needed you. That back and forth between those two, that intense fight is why I love. That's all. That has everything to do with the writing and McAvoy and Fassbender. Just those two playing off each other. That argument was so intense. Very emotional scene. There's a lot of great character moments, which I think kind of is why I love this movie so much, Mac. Every character here has a moment, and it doesn't have to necessarily be an action sequence. It can just be like an emotional moment, right? Everyone gets their due here. Even someone like Bobby gets a moment.
Yep.
Doesn't have a lot of speaking roles, but speaking parts. But
also, one of the few movies to have an alternate cut and both cuts are equal in quality. I can't say that.
I love the road cut.
Yeah,
road cuts.
Cuts.
I wonder.
Yeah.
Why did they cut that? Because I feel like they could have killed.
Don't know. Maybe it just didn't work as far as test screenings go. But I'm glad that the cut exists.
That's
true. I mean, it's like it's like it's like the BVS cut though, right? Because remember, almost those. Hold on.
None of those cuts are good because it's not a good movie.
Hold on. Okay. Hear me out, though. Okay. When they were praising during those test screenings of the BVS, I am 100% certain that they saw the 3-hour director's cut and not that 2.5-hour schluck that we ended up getting in theaters. I think the director's cut is actually a pretty decent movie.
They're both schluck, but okay.
Conversation.
I think they're decent because they give context. I think that's the thing. At least there's context. But like with the road cut, it's essentially the same movie just with different parts
Right.
out, but it's
Right.
still like the good movie. And
Yes.
I will say, like, the one thing I don't like about this movie is the ending, because it
Really?
kind of doesn't make sense
Really?
to me, because I don't know when he's like, "What happened to you, Logan?" He's like, "I woke up underwater," and like Mystique.
Well,
was dressed
there
as,
was
like,
no reason to have the Mystique pose as Striker for that scene. Like there was
No, there
no
wasn't.
reason for that at
Yeah,
all.
I was
that
like-
had absolutely no impact.
I was like,
you know?
Okay, cool. And didn't this have a weird after credit scene teasing Apocalypse?
Yeah, it was teasing Apocalypse as far as him being the next big threat that they were going to face.
Oh boy.
One other thing too, John Ammon's score here is really good.
Yes.
I love it.
Phenomenal score. Phenomenal score.
Really good.
Also, the Sentinels and how they made them scary. Like
Yes.
really
They are.
scary.
And Peter Dinklage as a villain also does not.
Yeah,
get
I like
enough
it.
love.
Underrated comic book
Excellent.
villain appearance.
God, especially the opening scene when they were just murdering the X-Men. I'm like, shit, these guys they don't fuck around.
Yeah.
Love it. But actually, speaking of Apocalypse, let's talk about X-Men Apocalypse.
Do we have to?
Yes. This is the one where Oscar Isaac came in. Apocalypse is a big X-Men villain, and this takes place in the First Class timeline, I'll call it. And we kind of see the starting portions of what we see for the X-Men team. And yeah, this movie's not good. Oscar Isaac was poorly miscast as Apocalypse, and the only thing that's memorable about this movie is the Quicksilver saving everyone scene.
Which is already a downgrade from Days of Future Past. So,
Oh God, yeah.
but it's still a good scene. It's a
It
fun.
really
scene.
sucks because this was like the beginning of the end, really.
Mhm.
It kind of was. It really
Not
was.
only for the X-Men movies, but for movies in general, really, because it was 2016, which is where literally we've kind of been on a slow decline quality-wise per year since then. We had a little brief boost in 2019, and then it's just been slowly downhill since. And this is kind of part of the reason where it all started. This is the year that superhero movies took over. We had no less than 6 major comic book adaptations this year. We had some great ones. We had some okay ones. We had some really bad ones. And yeah, this was kind of the beginning of this was the first moment in a long time when I watched a superhero movie and was like, oh no. Literally. I was like, oh no. The writing was so much worse. It was so much cornier. They were trying to make connections that didn't make sense. The plot straight up made no sense at points. Aside from Oscar Isaac, who I think was just not directed well, it just felt like Bryan Singer's heart wasn't in it at this point. His heart wasn't in it the way that it was with Days of Future Past, and it really shows.
There is one thing there's a couple things I really like about this movie, but the one thing I always stands out to me when I think about X-Men Apocalypse, what they do with Eric at the beginning, with the kind of him having a quiet life. I love what they did.
Sure, but it's cheap and meant to hurry the plot along. I feel it doesn't feel genuine.
And that's where I was going to get to the other part. I wish we had gotten more time.
Yeah.
With that, because they did kind of rush to them getting killed and him joining Apocalypse and all that stuff.
Like the part when Apocalypse was at the TV, he's like, "What are you doing?" Learning.
So stupid.
It's like learning.
He reminded me of a bad Power Rangers villain.
Literally.
Oh,
and then
no.
also, can we talk about the younger versions of the characters that are introduced here, where they range from okay to just bad? Cody Smith McPhee is trying as Nightcrawler. He really is. I think he's a solid casting choice. Ty Sheridan is just a whatever actor. He really hasn't been given a lot of chances to really shine. And Sophie Turner as Jean is just no.
I don't know. Thank you. I've been saying it for
the Game of Thrones cast. Unfortunately, is kind of, with the exception of Peter Dinklage, because he was but even Peter Dinklage, because his projects haven't been as good or as memorable since, the Game of Thrones cast has kind of fallen victim to. They all kind of have been stuck in their rut. I think the most successful one so far has been Kit Harington, but even still, he has yet to really give a compelling I'm not Jon Snow anymore performance. And that's kind of the case with Sophie Turner in this movie, who is just. Wow, I'm like, you're not good as Jean Grey. You're just not good in general.
I never vibed with her as Jean Grey because every
Yeah.
time I saw her, I'm like, aren't you the chick
Yeah.
from Game of Thrones?
Well, like it's not even just like look, it's Sophie Turner, it's Emilia Clarke, it's Maisie Williams, it's Lena Headey, Nicolette Coster-Waldau, Alfie Allen. Like, name me one good movie between those 6 actors that I just listed off that they've been in since the ending of Game of Thrones. I guarantee you can't.
I almost said Dread, but that was before the end.
That was 2012.
Yeah,
2012.
Dread is so good though.
Yeah.
God,
Dread's so good it almost makes up for the rest of Lena Headey's career. I can think of one movie. And that's Fighting with My Family, the Page biopic that Stephen Merchant directed with Florence Pugh, which was Florence Pugh's major intro, and Lena Headey played her mom in that.
That's true.
Well, I mean, for Peter Dinklage, we can give him credit for Days of Future Past. Oh wait, that was Game of Thrones was still on though.
That was during Game of Thrones 1.
That
was 2014. That was season 4 of Game of Thrones. That was Oprah and Martell's season of Game of Thrones, the best season.
Yeah, they've all struggled, haven't they? God damn.
Hey, at least Kit Harington did Pompeii.
Yeah.
But
I just saw Lena Headey in something that came out. Oh, Boy Kills World.
Kit Harington was in Eternals. Alfie Allen was in The Predator, which is awful.
Oh, Lord.
Speaking of The Predator, Olivia Munn's in this movie.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Just awful.
Unfortunately.
Yes.
Not a big Olivia Munn fan.
She is not a good actress.
She's not a good actress, unfortunately. She's been good in one thing, and that's The Newsroom.
Newsroom. That's more the writing. The writing in The Newsroom was fantastic.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah,
good writing matters.
Hey, we got the origin of how Charles went bald. He became bald in this movie. He got his final form. It's okay.
Oh my God, we did. I forgot about that, Mac.
He was bald in this movie.
Mind melding with Apocalypse. Also, they had Jean turn into the Phoenix at the end of this one to set up Dark Phoenix. It's like, okay, we're officially an alternate timeline now. I'm like, great. Can't imagine that this isn't gonna go well.
Continuity. That's the name of the game.
Say what you will about Famke Janssen, but like I bought Famke Janssen as Dark Phoenix. Like I was scared of her
100%.
and her powers when the shit that she did. Sophie Turner, I'm like, no, you're just no.
Just stop it. But hey, before we hit rock bottom, we actually got a brief glimmer of hope.
We had a brief peak. We had a brief peak where it shot up.
With 2017's Logan, which was at the time the farewell role of Hugh Jackman as the character, as we see him pretty much at the end, and he's trying to protect his clone daughter. And God, this movie is great. I still think it should have been nominated for something.
It got a best type of screenplay nomination.
It got a best screenplay nomination, and that was it, which is tragic.
Yeah, I think best film should have been there too. I don't know about Wonder Woman the same year, but
not Wonder Woman, definitely not. But no, this should have gotten a Best Picture nomination. This should have been the first superhero. It's already bad enough that The Dark Knight didn't get it, but this should have been the first like Best Picture superhero nomination.
Mm-hmm.
With Logan, it's funny because we're talking about kind of the downward trajectory of the X-Men films after Days of Future Past. I like what Dom said. This is kind of like an Elseworlds thing, right? I don't even count this as part of the continuity.
Literally, you could do that easily. That's the beauty of this movie. It works both ways. It works as both a continuation of the main X-Men prequels of the main X-Men series because it's been long enough since those movies.
Right.
And it also functions as an Elseworlds thing where it's like, okay, you could completely divorce this from the X-Men movies. And it's great either way.
I took some people, this came out my junior year of college. And so I took a couple of people, Mac, who were not X-Men fans at all. Mm-hmm. You can go into this completely blind, and they were still emotionally torn up by the end of this movie. That's how great this movie is.
Yeah, it's the best one objectively. Like, come on, that's the quality stands for itself. Mangold, they let Mangold cook here, I'm really glad he did because also for me, this and Mangold's remake of 3:10 to Yuma are my two favorite movies of his. Copland is a close third, but those two movies I think are like where Mangold functions best when he does revisionist westerns about the dying of the Old West. Mm-hmm. Like those, that's where like he really, really just knows and intuitively understands what he is doing. And Yeah, wow. I still like, I'm getting like flashbacks when I saw this in the theater for the first time. This was the first time that I'd cried in a movie in a long time,
Really?
long time. And so, Rod, you mentioned you were a junior. This was sophomore year of college for me because this was March of 2017. I was just finishing up my run at community college. And yeah, this movie just knocked my socks off. And it was my number one of the year. Like no other movie topped this movie this year. It was that good. You know, like Get Out, Good Time, Lego Batman. Those are all pretty close and up there. Baby Driver 2, but this, like, nothing topped this.
Yeah, my favorite film this year was Blade Runner 2049, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. No, Florida Project. Excuse me. Florida Project was my favorite.
Florida Project is up there.
Yeah.
Blade Runner I put higher, but I think that only made top 20. Yeah, this was number one easily. Also, I saw this movie 3 times in theaters.
Nice. Also, this movie needed to be rated R because I think
it needed to.
Because it's
not
just
even
like,
just for the violence, but for the story. It was a rated R story. Like this is a depressing ass. Like this is not a comic book movie. This is a drama road movie. It's essentially Children of Men.
Mm-hmm. Also, I think the opening scene is probably the best one because it really establishes the tone of like, yeah, this isn't like your regular X-Men movie. This
Bagel said real quick. He told you real quick what kind of movie this was going to be.
That opening scene is. I love to rewatch that opening scene because it's so like good just to set that tone. And I like Patrick Stewart's performance in there, and it makes you depressed to see him like that. I was like, damn.
Jackman and Patrick Stewart both should have been nominated that year.
Agreed.
I agree.
Agreed.
Like without question. Like if you're gonna nominate these, like just for the legacy alone of both of those two, the fact that they had been in both those roles for 17 years, that's impressive. And the fact that they both arguably gave their best work as the characters, as those two respective characters.
Agreed.
Let me ask you guys this, because I've had debates about this with my roommate in college. We still debate about this a lot sometimes. Obviously, I think we all knew Charles was pretty much a goner.
Yeah.
Does your enjoyment of the movie overall get affected if Logan doesn't die in this film?
Yes, because he needs to die. The way that the story is going, he needs to die at the end. Like having him survive miraculously would ruin the entire movie. It wouldn't work otherwise. You know, this is literally, it's so funny because I've made the joke so many times that this is the real Logan's Run, you know, but like, yeah, I mean, literally look at the fucking image. He's literally running. Come on. But
I wish we did get a little bit explanation of what happened to why Charles is hiding. They mention it.
And it's so funny that you mentioned that, Mac, because at the same time, again, this is really a tribute to the script and the work that they did with it. The fact that they did tell us what happened without ever needing to explain it to us.
Correct.
But they showed it visually. It's once you see Professor X's first seizure meltdown, it's pretty easy to figure out what happened to the rest of the X-Men.
Yep.
It's pretty easy to figure out.
It's like, Jesus Christ. Like, I think and this is essentially Old Man Logan for all you comic lovers. This is the Old Man Logan story that's perfect. And like I said, should have been nominated for Best Picture, but can't fucking change the past. But heading back downhill, we got Dark Phoenix.
See, it's funny because when they had announced both of this movie and the next one, I was literally like, can't you just let a good thing rest? You clearly are trying to wind things up and wrap it up. Logan felt like the natural ending. I'm like, why are you making more of these movies? Like
money.
Like Infinity War was out at that point. I'm like, you all just need to take a step back and just let Marvel cook. Like you're not going to win.
And that's the thing too. This film was infamous because Fox got bought out by Disney. So they're like, all right, we got to push this out. And then didn't this go through reshoots and everything like that? And
yeah,
like
this
one went through so many reshoots.
God, and then Simon fucked by its reshoots. Like it looks cheap too. Like look at those costumes. Those costumes look cheap.
And the entire cast was checked out.
Yes.
Yeah, I would say Jennifer Lawrence was checked out.
Nobody was awake for this movie. Everybody was sleepwalking.
They're like, we ain't never doing this again.
Yeah. The fact that they literally had to remove Evan Peters from the plot by virtue of the fact that he was commenting in the movie on how stupid the plot was.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, I have not seen this in a long time. I think I saw it once.
They literally have him like injured immediately with the first fight with Jean. and so he's out for the rest of the movie.
Oh, that's right. He doesn't even show back for the final battle. I don't think.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah, they literally bench him. That is the unfortunate thing, is that as awesome as Evan Peters is, they bench him every single. The only movie that he gets to cook is Apocalypse. That's it.
Because I funny story, Dom. So I saw this opening night, right? I was like, oh, you know what? Let me just go ahead and ruin my Thursday night. Let me go get this over with. I was trying hard. I was trying so hard to find things to enjoy about this movie. I was like, well, I couldn't.
It's like, what?
Yeah,
it happened.
There's nothing. There's really nothing.
Well,
and if you ask me, the more and more I think about it, objectively, I think about it, as much as I hate Apocalypse, and I fucking hate Apocalypse, there's enough enjoyable things in that movie. This is the worst X-Men movie for me.
I can't say it's the worst. There are elements. I do like that third act sequence on the train or whatever.
For the fact that I can rewatch every other X-Men movie, even New Mutants, and still find something to enjoy in this. I find nothing to enjoy really in this movie.
I like Hans Zimmer's score. I have to go back and listen to that score sometimes. I don't remember it.
I barely remember it.
Man, remember when Jessica Chastain was in this movie?
Unfortunately.
Man, and they can never do it right. Dark Phoenix, good God, just stop doing live action Dark Phoenix. It's not gonna work.
The MCU is gonna do it eventually, but I think they're gonna take their time because they have someone like a Feige who has been through the shit, Mac, like we were talking about earlier, so he'll know when it's time to adapt that storyline. But it's gonna be a while.
He took this out back and shot it in the head. He's like, "Don't you ever try this shit again without me saying anything?" But to end it all,
has Simon Kinberg done anything after this movie?
Yeah, the 355. That's your answer. Yeah, and with Jessica Chastain, who she actually loves working with because she recommended that he do that after Dark Phoenix.
What happened to her? What happened to her? Where is she? Where has she been lately?
Yeah, she's around.
Chastain won an Oscar recently. What are you talking about?
Oh, that's right.
Chastain's doing just fine.
She's okay.
She was in a multiple Emmy. She's gotten multiple Emmy nominations the last couple years. She's been on TV. That's why.
Was she? Oh, that's right. She was in Seasons of Marriage. Okay, never mind. That's right. I forgot that came out like 2 years ago. I love that. By the way. That was a great moment in series.
355 is a good movie, though. You watch it. I'm joking. Don't fucking watch that shit. Anyway, last up. Lastly, guys, we got the horror movie, The New Mutants. Oh my goodness.
Did you say the horrible movie? That's right. It's horrible.
No, horror movie. Remember, they released that first trailer, and they're like, "This is a horror X-Men movie. This is gonna be the New Mutants." And then it got delayed, and then delayed, and then delayed. And then it came out, and no one cared
because it was COVID.
Yeah,
this movie came out in the middle of COVID. That's the thing that everybody needs to take into account. Like, I hate to grade movies with a caveat, but really, given the circumstances surrounding this movie and the manner with which they chose to release it, this movie never had a chance.
No, it didn't.
Really, never had a chance.
Nope. Can we stop putting Elise Braga in things? Though I'm really sick and tired of this actress. I can't stand her.
Well, her, I agree. Like, she's kind of been overused a little bit. Like, she's good in the Suicide Squad. She's good in that.
She's
everything else, though.
In every single freaking thing.
Here's what I'll say about this movie, and this is going to be really controversial. Aside from the lead character, what's her name, Blue Hunt?
Yeah,
she's not good. Everybody else in this movie, the cast in this movie is good. Anya, Maisie Williams, Charlie Heaton, and the dude, the Hispanic dude, I think he's in 13 Reasons Why, I want to say. They're all good, I think. Yeah. The rest of the movie is just ass. Like, I don't know what they're thinking here. I really don't. And it's really weird that this is 1 year after Glass, which is another superhero movie that takes place in a mental asylum, you know?
It looks like the same mental asylum they filmed Glass in.
Yeah.
Probably is.
They shared the filming space. Like, hey, get out of here. It's like, well, you know, the thing too is that you could tell there was reshoots with this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this was reshot all the hell because, like I mentioned, that first trailer, they were hyping this up as like a horror movie, and there are some horror elements that I feel like, if explored better, this movie would have been interesting. But it just kind of turned into like, hey, we're a new mutant team, and it was another thing too where Fox was like on Disney.
Disney at that point.
Yeah, Disney was like, we're not doing anything with this.
Because they knew it was garbage.
Yeah, it's like was I think would have been better. They should have just released this on Disney Plus.
Yeah, this should have been a Disney Plus original. It should have been.
It would have made up the numbers, but it's just coming out with COVID. Like, did it come out in 2020 or 2021?
2020. This is a 2020 release.
Jesus Christ. Like, who was like, man, I'm going to put on a mask and go see the New Mutants. Like, I got to see that shit.
Yeah.
And that
Christopher Nolan, it was because Christopher Nolan demanded to do it with Tenet.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Oh my
and
God.
They couldn't fully decide if they wanted to commit to streaming or not. And then there was enough success with streaming movies that then when Warner Discovery made the decision to do everything day and date for 2021, the rest kind of followed suit, sort of. They all just did it in their own individual ways.
I wish the new, I really wish that maybe with like a horror director, like I guess like a Fede Alvarez or something, they did this type of movie. I think I would have been down with it. If this was like a legit like horror movie like they wanted to, I would have been down with that.
Fede Alvarez would have cooked with this. I would love to see that movie.
But yeah, that's I got nothing else to say. The X-Men.
Like I said, Mac, this whole franchise has been wasted potential.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had the highs and lows, and I think we can all say our favorite one is Logan.
Yeah.
For me, I think it should pass.
It's the best.
Yeah.
And what would we say our worst one is?
Dark Phoenix.
I'd probably still say Origins or The Last Stand. One of those two for me.
I'm gonna go with Dark Phoenix, and like Origins is like a close second. But I like Origins because this is Will I Am, and the Blob is like, who you calling a blob? I'm not fat. Shut up. But it's fucking midnight and a half, and I think we should end it because I'm falling asleep too. Guys, this has been a fun late night rendezvous. If any of y'all are probably gonna go see Deadpool again.
Oh, most definitely.
I've already seen it 3 times, Mac. I don't know. Well, yeah, I'm seeing it tomorrow, so yeah.
I'm gonna say you see it 4 times. I haven't even seen it once, but I'm excited. I need to see if Jonathan Majors shows up as Kang. I know. It's imagine.
Just leave those expectations at the door, Mac. Don't even walk in thinking that. It's not gonna happen.
But I want to thank you all for coming on. Thank you, Rod. Thank you, Dom. We get to do this much more planning. We'll do that draft, Dom, you mentioned. You just got to walk me through it because I want to do that. And I think that'd be cool. We had to get more people on here. But you can find these guys on their YouTube channels and their streaming platforms and their Instagrams. I'll link everything in the description below. But thank you for tuning in to the stream tonight, and I'll see you all later. Bye.
Fun show.